Another show, man. It's Monday. It's Money Making Monday. We got our guy Rob Veno here with us, man. Hoping for another big week, guys. It was a really nice week last week, guys. Trying to keep it going live Monday through Sunday, guys. If you can join the channel as a member, shout out to all the new members in the chat, man. Mr. Q, Eric Jones, PPN, Tim Taylor. I see you. What's up, Rico, my guy? And Run the Bases, man. I appreciate all the new members and all the existing members as well. Let's get some cash, man. Obviously, we got our guy Rob Veno here with us. Robbie, what's up with you, my brother? Everything cool with you?
I am doing good, buddy. I'm just actually, you see me looking here to retweet our Twitter link so that people can check out what we're doing here this afternoon. Yeah, Jay, boy, what a busy 3 weeks to a month up ahead here when you consider the college tournament, the NBA coming down the home stretch here. I was talking to you off air, nice day yesterday, 5-0, but once yesterday's over, we really don't care. You talk about that a lot on this show. It's today. Forget about the rest. Some World Baseball Classic action. My goodness, there's a lot going on here. So, but we're talking about NBA, and we saw some things over the weekend. And this Ja Morant deal, it couldn't come at a worse time for Memphis, I don't think, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, man, let's talk some games in this one, man. It's all positive. Yeah, I don't really, to be honest with you, I'm not even worried about what Ja Morant them got going. To be honest with you, Rob, I mean, these guys are millionaires. I got my own life to worry about. You dig what I'm saying? So that's one thing I don't necessarily agree with the media. They worried about everyone else's life a little too much, in my opinion, here. But let's get over here to the first game up, man. We're going to the streets of Cleveland here. It's all business here on the show, guys. We're trying to get some cash. Cavs land 6.5 points at the house versus the Boston Celtics in this one, Rob. Total sitting at 219. Right? This line did open up at 1.5. I believe it were ones, but I know 1.5. I did get Cavs minus 1.5, guys. So 1.5, 2. It was even 3.5 last night. Up to 6.5 now, Rob. Do you think all the value is going with the Cleveland Cavaliers today?
Well, it's nothing official yet, right, Jay? As far as the NBA injury report is concerned, but the 6.5 is in anticipation of some potential load management for Boston tonight. We're not going to be surprised when guys start getting announced not playing in this one. If they do all play, the 6.5 will be gone and it'll come right back to where it originated. But, if you're playing Cleveland now, I guess, a lot of times you say, Jay, that you missed the boat and it's too late and you don't want to take the ass end of the number. But if the number were Cleveland 6.5, without Tatum and Brown, and you knew that, would you play Cleveland at minus 6.5? And you probably would. Boston's bench usually has potential to come out there and score points. So you could look at a total going over as well, because it would be played down as this one was from 220 to 218.5. They don't play a lot of defense off the bench. Robert Williams out now for 7 days. Less defense for the Celtics. I'm not expecting a real great defensive effort out of the Celtics whatsoever here tonight. So maybe 218.5 is a little low. The problem for me in this whole thing is the question mark next to Donovan Mitchell's name. Maybe it shouldn't mean as much because you just slide Karis LeVert in and points can come from him. So maybe, Jay, my initial look here is over 218.5. I don't want to play against the Cavs at home for any reason. And I just don't know yet who's in or who's out. So, we're talking early day here. Early day, I think 218.5 is a pretty good price to play over.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Yeah, and coming off double overtime, these guys will run out of gas in this one, man. So they didn't play all their guys, but the guys that did, they played north of 45 minutes in that one. So wouldn't be surprised if some guys rested. To be honest with you, I like I said, I'm not playing this game at 6.5, guys. So I did do a night show last night, and I also posted Cavs -2 in the members channel, guys. So if you all remember, make sure you're checking out that community channel where I'm posting picks for the members. And that one posted Cavs -2 last night, up to 6.5. No play for me on this game. Probably wait for some injuries here. I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics did rest some guys, but regardless of that, even if they played everybody, the Celtics are in a little bit of a lull right now. Joe Mazzulla's still kind of figuring it out. I don't know. Maybe they're kind of starting to tail off. So it's always tough to bet against the Celtics, but in this particular game with a major rest advantage, if you look at rest advantage alone, the Cavs have a ton of more energy to give towards both ends of the floor in this one. Also, the stat that our guy Chris and LJ broke us off with yesterday, home teams, the teams that are coming off a home game, a home loss, and then they head out on the road, and then they're a dog, and it's a second leg of a back-to-back. They're 1-22 straight up on the season, guys. So that's why I hopped on Cavs -2. Basically, just asked them to win the game. If you'd like to take some first quarter full time, that's at +100. Couldn't talk you off, but yeah, I'm still leaning Cavs in this one. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cavs won this one by double digits, with or without Donovan Mitchell, my guys. So that's the only way I'm looking at this one, Cavs, and I could not talk you off that over in that one, Robbie. Let's go over here to the streets of Detroit here, guys, where we have the Pistons here getting 5.5 points at the house versus the Blazers in this one, Rob. Obviously, the Blazers coming on the back-to-back. They need to win every game right now. The Pistons, they don't want to win games right now. I think it's pretty simple. I'm only looking towards the Blazers here. It's not a game that I bet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dame went off in this one versus the Pistons' leaky defense in this one. Like, what do you think? Could just go with some Dame props in this one, but I do think the Blazers win this game for the simple put that they have plenty to play for. The Pistons don't, Rob.
Yeah, and that's where you start this handicap, right? I mean, Portland's a desperate squad. You read some Damian Lillard quotes over the course of the last 10 days, and he mentions it all the time that he realizes they're hurt with injuries, and that he puts a lot of that pressure on himself to make sure this team wins games while guys are out, so that when they come back, they can be in better shape. They're only a half a game out of the 10 seed, which is the last play-in spot in the West. So, I say it a lot here, Jay, but you have to win the winnables if you want to get there. And Portland, to me, just seems like a team that still believes, and I know Damian Lillard still believes that if they get into playoffs, they can do damage. Every year he believes that. It's really not true, but as long as he's focused that way, I have to be focused on him. I don't like their scheduling here, really, 4th and 6 nights. They've been out on the road for a long time, but that can be negated, like you said, by the fact that Detroit's just not trying to win. And Detroit's got a lot of points on the injured list as well. And you add Bogdanovich to the injured list, and where are they going to score from? Marvin Bagley's been nice as of late, but they could be short big men. Obviously, since Jalen Duren's gone down, it hasn't been good on the boards for this team. It's a game
Wiseman questionable as well, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Stewart's been hurt for a while. So a lot of their bigs are down the drain here, Jay. They don't play a lot of defense. So back to your point about scoring here. Initially, I looked total over because that's the way you have to play Portland. They're not going to give you much on the defensive end. But I will say this. Here's one thing, and I don't know how you would handicap this, Jay. But yes, Portland's will play 4 and 6 nights. However, in my mind, 2 of their new starters, Matisse Thybulle and Cam Reddish, haven't played minutes all year long. So really, they're not tired legs at this time of season. Right. So you have 2 starters that are willing to get out there. They have starting roles now, which is what they wanted all along, these 2 guys. So I could see energy out of the Portland side. I would look that way. I couldn't look any other way. I did try. I'll just point this out to the prop players out there. I did try a Cam Reddish prop a couple of nights ago, over 12.5 points, just seeing how many shots he's been able to take, that the offense has allowed him to take since he's come over and become a starter. He does get his opportunities, Jay. So maybe Cam Reddish, if the number is low enough. But the problem is that if Dame goes for 60, there's not much left for anybody else.
Facts.
I'd probably look Portland in some capacity, even though the schedule doesn't exactly set up their way. I do think 2 of their starters have more than enough energy to get through these types of travel situations.
No, that's a fact right there. Shout out to the chat as well, guys. Pay attention to the chat, guys. It's people popping off in the chat. They saying, but Sharon, like in Detroit team total under in the first half. They leaning they saying they like Pistons full game team total under. These are all good looks in my opinion. I mean, obviously the Blazers don't play the best of defense, but you kind of have to worry where the points are coming from for the Pistons guys. It just seems like they're at the point of the season where if you're helping them win, then they're sitting you out. That's just what we got to call it for what it is, guys. The Pistons are tied for the worst record in the league. They do not want to win games. They're solidified in the bottom 3. But I mean, if they are going to choose to be one, it's going to be at the house. I'm not betting this game, man. I lean Blazers. I lean Dame to go crazy in this one. I lean Pistons team total unders as well, but it's just not a game that I have a super strong feel on. But like I said, it could be pretty simple. Just fade the tanking teams in this one, guys. But do I think the Blazers are going to make the playoffs? No, they're not going to make it either. So it's a tough game for me there. Let's go over here to the streets of Indiana here, Rob. We got the Pacers getting 7 points at the house versus the Philadelphia 76ers in this one, man. Hallie went huge, went crazy on those Bulls yesterday. I still think the Bulls are a fade, man. But regards to that, Pacers coming off an outright win as an underdog heading to the house here off of a, I think, 4-game road trip. I don't like the spot for the Pacers, at least early. And so any team you'd want to fade in the first quarter here. We already know the Pacers are the worst first quarter team against the spread this season. Here, Rob, I want to take Sixers first quarter in this. I know that they have Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker. I'm not worried about Tucker. It's probably good if they sit him, but I think Sixers in the first quarter is the right side in this game, Rob.
Yeah, against Indiana's been the right side all season long in the first quarter, right? So why stop now? They have performed as of late. I think over the course of the last 5, maybe they've picked up a couple of first quarters. They are pushing, somewhat to try and get in that final playoff spot, Jay. They're not that far out, a game and a half. Rick Carlisle is the kind of coach that doesn't want to be on the sidelines during the postseason. But again, all of their capabilities to win games rest on Halliburton and whether or not he plays or not. So whenever I see him with a question mark, certainly I have to wait and see what his status is going to be. But I can say this, I generally don't wait to pull the trigger against the Pacers first quarter. I mean, it's funny that they've been this way all season long. They come from behind very well. You can play them as a second half team, or from the second quarter on, they do well. But it's that first quarter. I worry a little bit about Philly because that victory over Milwaukee the other night took so much out of them. 133-130. Harden and Embiid were terrific.
Who's on it, Rob? Who's on it?
That's a good one. And I'll say this: I've never been a huge James Harden fan, but I have to admit that his last month, Jay, looks like he's back in Houston again, regular season-wise. He is playing terrific. He's changed the minds of a lot of folks here in the Philadelphia area that make up the fan base, the media base. People tending to like what they're seeing out of James Harden. And they did have a day off in between. So I'm with you that the forwards don't mean that much. Where they mean a lot, Jay, is in the form of defense. At least Tobias Harris is probably their best defender that size. PJ Tucker doesn't do much anymore. I think when we started the season, you referred to him as one of those guys where the tread is worn off a little bit on PJ Tucker.
Yeah, no, Tucker.
But they're going to stick McDaniels in there, who's a better player.
He's their best defender, Rob. He's their best defender.
The length and the agility that the other two really don't have. So I'd probably look toward a game going over here, Jay, if Halliburton's involved. If he's not, I won't. But I will look to fade Indiana first quarter. I think Philadelphia will bring some form of energy. And if we look up real quick at the standings, you talked a little earlier about maybe Boston starting to fade a little bit, and they are. They're sliding. Now a game and a half behind Milwaukee. Philly's only 4.5 out. Possibility to get to 2. So, I think Philly first quarter is probably the best look. And if Halliburton plays, total's a really good look over.
Yeah, that's a fact right there. Yeah, I'm surprised that Halliburton is questionable and they didn't really move the line. So that is kind of fishy to me, in my opinion. Maybe because Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker, a couple of starters over there. But like I say, in my opinion, Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker don't really matter in this game. This game is about the guards. If you throw Milton, Maxey out there, guys like Jalen McDaniels as well with Harden and Embiid, this Sixers team is more than capable to get it done in this first quarter, in my opinion. This is the 4th straight road game for the Sixers. But like you said, they did have a day off. So you do worry about the little letdown coming off the huge win versus the Bucks, but the Pacers could also be in for a letdown. 4th game road trip, coming back home on the road home back to back. You have things you have to take care of when you get back to the house, man. So the focus kind of shifts, and we know the Pacers always come out slow in their games, and then they pick it on. They do it every single game, guys. So I believe the Bulls covered the first quarter yesterday. Yep. So I mean, just follow the script with the Pacers. You take them in, you fade them in the first quarter, and then I couldn't take you off. They usually cover their second quarter spread, and then throughout the game as well, they just keep playing as better. It's like they have to figure out the team, guys. So I hadn't bet this yet, but Sixers first quarter, Sixers first quarter is the look in this game, in my opinion. I believe that's the top look in this game, guys. Let's go over here to the streets, down to Miami. Let's go to the beach real quick, Rob. We got the Heat laying 3 points at the house versus the Hawks in this one. Rob, could you believe they were hanging Hawks money line plus 150 last night? Man, I can't believe it. I feel like that was an incorrect number, especially on a plus 3, where the money line for the underdog should be somewhere around plus 130. It has corrected this morning. However, I think the Hawks are the right side in this game. I think they win this game. As a Hawks believer that they win this division, this is also an important game as well. I think Quinn Snyder knows that. The last game, they kind of just ran out of gas, right? It was a road home back-to-back. It was a home road back-to-back, whereas the Heat, they were just at the house. They didn't have to travel anywhere. So I feel like the Heat had the major advantage last game. Now it's evened up. I think the Hawks have the much better offense, more fluid offense. He's got to play a little bit of defense here. But give me the Hawks here plus a 3 here, Robin, with a little sprinkle on the money line as well.
Can't disagree. The Hawks got themselves into a huge hole first half, right? They're down 66-46 on Saturday. This is the second of back-to-backs in Miami. And they're important games, like you say, Jay. Atlanta just can't let 2 of these slide. And Miami, I tell you the truth, as bad as it's been for them, and then when I saw Jimmy Butler on the injured list Saturday as questionable, I thought to myself, maybe Jimmy's just had it. They're not going anywhere. They're treading water all season long. Maybe he just had it, but he's just not the type of guy to give up, right? He showed up Saturday. They got to the big lead. Atlanta won the second half convincingly. Now, you could make the case that, Miami let off the pedal, but I don't think you let off the pedal start a third quarter in the NBA with a 20-point lead. I just don't think Miami's very good on a nightly basis. They're just not very good. They're not the same. It's the same players almost, but it's not the same results. And whether or not Kyle Lowry is that big of a deal or not, I'm not sure. I didn't think he was, but maybe he is. I'm with you. I could see the Hawks here more than the Hawks. We were talking off air. I played player prop on Trae Young today. I just can't see Trae Young repeating that performance from Saturday. 2 of 13 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3, only 8 points. That's got to change here. Miami's not the greatest defensive backcourt in the league. In fact, it's my opinion, Jay, that Miami's defensive numbers are constantly inflated by the fact that they play slow. Anybody could play slow and limit the other team from scoring 125, but Atlanta, they don't play extremely fast, but with Quinn Snyder, we're going to see if there's any adjustment here. They're way more efficient than Miami, as you mentioned. So give me Trae Young points and assists here over the total. And the look at Atlanta here to split this series, I think, is a good look as well, plus points.
No, that's a fact right there, man. I really feel like this Snyder is going to come over here. And I know it's going to take some time, but I feel like the Hawks come out here with some in this game as well. Rob, I really want to take Hawks first quarter, first half, full game. I'm only on full game right now, but I feel like the Heat had the major advantage in the first quarter in the last game. The Hawks were tired; they didn't have any legs. That's why you saw Trae Young missing those shots. I mean, the whole team. I think they only went 9 for 30 from the 3-point line. So the Heat made 4 more threes than them. They lost by 9 points. That was the game right there. If Trae Young doesn't go 0 for 5 for 3 here, which I don't think he's going to do, I think they have some rest here. As long as they didn't go party down there in Miami, the Hawks are winning this game, in my opinion, convincingly as well. And I also think Hawks first quarter, first half are the right sides. I hadn't taken it yet, guys, but I fully believe that this is a trifecta spot for the Hawks. I think they will be playing with the lead in this one. And the Heat will have to try to come back and match their intensity and match their offense. And I don't think they'll be able to do it. I think the Hawks hit some shots here in this first quarter and build a nice little lead and don't look back in this one, man. I see a trifecta spot coming from the underdog Hawks in this one, guys. So only thing I've taken so far is Hawks plus 3 and on the money line. But I do like that first quarter and first half, guys, for the Hawks, man. I'm eating some hot wings today. You dig what I'm saying? Let's go over here to the streets of Denver here, Rob. We got the Nuggets laying 6.5 points at the house versus the Raptors in this one, my guy. The Nuggets was at 7.5 last night, Rob. It's down to 6.5. Do you agree with the sharp money coming in on the Raptors, or is this another spot where we just take the Nuggets?
I feel like if I went back, Jay, and traced line moves in all Nuggets games, they're the one quality elite team, so to speak, in the NBA that sort of gets bet against more by sharp money than any other team. I just don't think there's a lot of believers in Denver yet. And the mini run that Toronto's been on since they picked up Jakob Poeltl, they're still not that great, Jay. I'm just going to give you some numbers here. 7 of their last 9 games, the Toronto Raptors, Nick Nurse, defense-oriented Toronto Raptors. Here's what they've allowed. 7 of the last 9 games, field goal percentage-wise, 54%, 50.6, 51.2, 52.4, 52.1, 51.2, 50.7. 7 of the last 9 games, they're giving up 50% or better. Who's the most efficient offensive team in the NBA? The Denver Nuggets. I mean, you can't be giving up 50% shooting to Washington, Chicago, Cleveland, Orlando, Detroit, and Utah.
Mm-hmm.
There's one playoff team in that bunch. It's Cleveland. I mean, Washington may get into a play-in spot, but those teams are not equal to Denver in any way, shape, or form from an offensive standpoint. So, for that reason, I would think that, Denver's going to get theirs. I would look Denver team total in this game. I just don't think there's a way for Toronto to stop them the way they allow points. But maybe more than that, I would just take Denver in this case. Again, I feel like they're one of the more disrespected teams in the NBA. And I like what Toronto's doing. Give them credit. They didn't go out and have a fire sale at the trade deadline. They instead acquired and thought that they could make a push. And they're making a push in what's a weak bottom playoff tier of teams in the East. And sure, you may be able to grind your way into a play-in spot, but I don't think they're in this class, Jay. I really don't. And those defensive numbers, anytime you line up with those types of numbers against Denver's offense, it's scary to me. It's a different guy every night. And, that forward situation with Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon gets forgotten all the time in the mix of Jokic and Murray. And then when you add in the fact that KCP is the best 3-point percentage shooter in the NBA, for me, it would be Denver. For me, more than anything, it's probably Denver team total.
Yeah, no, that's a good look right there. Yeah, I just don't have a super strong look on this game, guys. Somewhat I do disagree with Rob. Now I know that they've been giving up a lot of points, but you look at them play, they're still playing really physical defense. The Raptors are, and I do worry the Nuggets, especially because they play a lot of they don't really play a ton of physical teams other than the Memphis Grizzlies in the Western Conference. The Raptors are going to get physical with you. So I always say it's basically in Raptors games, it's all about how the games are called. If they're allowing them to kind of hand check and play physical, then it's a Raptors type of game. If they're calling everything on them, then this will not be a Raptors type game because the Raptors have to do it with their defense, in my opinion. I still don't fully trust their offense. The Nuggets are very well balanced. I guess I can understand why this line is coming down from 7.5 to 6.5. I'm not betting against the Nuggets, especially at the house. They are a lot more susceptible to that physicality on the road as well. We saw that in Memphis. That was my exact cap on that game, that I feel like the Grizzlies going to come in there and kind of be physical with them and kind of punk them, and that's exactly what they did. But at the house, the Nuggets do usually get their calls. I'm not betting against them at home, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if the Raptors got the cover. They are probably the more desperate team. We can't forget teams that are sitting in the number 1 seed. They want to steal ball and they still want to keep that momentum going, but they also don't just have a ton to play for. I mean, the Nuggets are pretty much all but locked in their first seed, guys. So when you kind of look at it from that standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets start to taper off towards the tail end of the season and start looking towards the longevity of the playoffs if they really have a championship run, guys. So that we're in that point in the season, and this one, I wouldn't be surprised either way. The Nuggets smacked them, got way better offense, but the Raptors, I must admit, their defense possibly could keep this close, man. But this is a stay-off game. I don't have a strong feel for it. Go with your gut, my guys. That's what I like to say. This is the last game up here, Rob. Let's go over here to the streets of Sacramento. We have the Kings laying 5 points at the house versus the Phillies in this one. Who's stopping Ingram in this one, Rob?
Nobody. At least if I'm going to cash a ticket tonight, it's nobody. One of the first things I bet today, Jay, and again, you and I talked a little bit off air before we came on, and we kind of line up here with the thought that Brandon Ingram will have a big game. He didn't have a necessarily big game last time out. I think it was only 17 points. CJ McCollum kind of took over. I know that you had alluded to last week the fact that CJ's playing through a thumb injury. He's actually picked it up a little bit offensively the last couple of games, but his statistics have been erratic at best. They're not CJ McCollum type of statistics. They're nice and they're good for any starter, but they're just not his type of numbers. I think Ingram takes over here tonight against a defense that just hasn't played any. I mean, I was reading a piece this morning where the Kings have become the best points per possession team in the NBA over the course of the last 10. I think they score like 1.3 every possession. And they allow 1.25. So they're barely offensively better than they are defensively. And again, you would expect some type of slugfest here. I see the numbers come down from 239 to 237. I think that's, a lot of folks just looking at the New Orleans roster and saying how they gonna score enough to get this thing over the total. I would be the same way. However, a lot of times a lousy defense is the perfect elixir for an offense that's struggling. Rather than play the Pelicans and Kings over the total, which I probably should, because right now, Jay, anything under 244 is probably too soft of a total line for the Kings where they're involved. But I do like Brandon Ingram even more. Maybe I'll get to both, but I'm already on Ingram. Points, rebounds, assists over his total here. I just think you could play any of the three. You could play him individual. You could play him grouped. We start making round robins out of Brandon Ingram props tonight. But I think he's going to have a big game. And the Pelicans, for what it's worth, they're playing hard to see if they can grind into that playoffs, but they don't always get wins, but they're playing. And where the Kings are concerned, now that Memphis has lost Ja Morant, chance to maybe slide into that 2-hole in the playoffs. Amazing that they're still there. So both teams with motivation. I think it'll be high scoring. And I think Brandon Ingram will do a lot of the heavy lifting for the Pelicans.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do think that the last game was high scoring, Robin. I mean, that's probably good for the Pelicans, but I do hear nothing but we know the Kings came out and played a horrible defensive game last game. So one thing I had to get back to doing is get back to work my things, man. Listen to the post game interviews. The Kings are saying nothing, but they need to work on the defense. Now I'll tell you, they're the best player on the team. I won't even mention that because it doesn't even matter about injuries, guys. But I don't think he's 100%. He has a hamstring and a wrist injury, and it's a left wrist as well. So if you look at De'Aaron Fox the last game, that's why that 30 points prop was he broke his streak or whatever. I think Fox is really legitimately hurt. Then he grabbed his hamstring in the last game. So he is questionable here. I'm glad that all the outlets didn't really get on it yesterday. I feel like people were sleeping yesterday, Rob, especially the main people on Twitter, Underdog and Fantasy. They didn't post that he was questionable, and I'm just steady hopping on the 6.5. 6.5, 6. The Pelicans are my favorite bet of the day, guys. This is the one that I have the most cheddar on. I did get them 6.5. It's down to 5. I think the Pelicans win this game straight up. I actually think they're going to come out here in first quarter and first half and smack them up just like they did versus the Warriors. But the Kings don't have that physical defense to make that comeback in the third or fourth quarter. They have the offense. The Kings can score with the best of them, guys. They probably have the most potent offense in the NBA. But you could also argue that they have one of the worst defense in the NBA as well. I'll be honest, I do lean to the under here. I do think the Kings pay a little bit more attention to the defensive end. And if Fox is out, Davion Mitchell's going to come in there, and he's the exact opposite of Fox. Davion Mitchell is not really the scoring threat, and he's going to bring the defense. So if Fox is out, I would definitely take the under in this game. Regardless, I think the Pelicans come out there, get them first quarter, first half, and full game, guys. I think they win this game straight up. I think they will be playing with the lead as well, and the Kings will have to try to come back in this one, guys. I do have a little hidden angle as well, but like I said, I mentioned that on the last night's show. But regardless of the angle, I'm on the Pelicans tonight. I like that it went down from 6.5 to the 5 in this one, guys. Give me the Pelicans in this one with the little J Money sprinkle on the money line as well. I think they win this game straight up. This is a much bigger game for the Pelicans than it is for the Kings in this one, guys. And I do have a slightest lean to the under, mainly because we know the Pelicans are going to bring their defense. The Kings, I do feel like they put a little bit extra emphasis on the defensive end after the last game versus West. All they talked about, every player in the post-game interview. That shows me to at least pay a little bit of attention. I don't think it's going to matter, though. Ingram is going bunkers in this one. I think Ingram is going for 30 in his sleep tonight, and I think the Pelicans go ham in this one. I'd like to have Josh Richardson out there, Rob, but he's out with a personal issue. But regardless, I still think the Pelicans have the horses to get it done. Just drive into the paint every single time, guys. That's what I'm liking in this one. Let's get out of here, Rob. Let's get to some free NBA picks. If you guys didn't know, man, go check out Wager Talk. Just send me your email. It's $9 Monday as well, and $2 Tuesday tomorrow, guys. So you don't need a promo code for that every single day over at Wager Talk. Send your email in as well. You get access to all the free info over there at Wager Talk, Rob. What do you have promote over at Wager Talk, and any best bets for today on the show?
Yeah, you said it best, Jay. Every Monday I'm on. It is $9 Monday at wagertalk.com. For those of you that are also interested in the college basketball tournaments that are coming up, I have plays and selections up available in both NBA and college basketball. And even if you're going to tune into this World Baseball Classic where some of the best baseball players from Major League Baseball are involved with different nations. We're going to have a couple of selections there. So all of that stuff up and available. $9 Monday. Every play you purchase today, only $9. And again, like Jay said, if you go over there, if you're not a member, just drop your email address. You'll get access to all of the shows that Wager Talk produces on a daily basis. Every sport, every game covered, analyzed top to bottom by the team of handicappers over there, myself included. If you like what you see on Jay's show, you can also see Jay over there on the NBA tip-off with us on certain days during the week. So once again, wagertalk.com. Let's get to the plays, though, Jay. That's what counts here. And I'm going to start off by saying the play I like the most today is Trae Young, points and assists, over 33.5. He's been dishing out double-digit assists for quite some time now, mostly on a game-by-game basis. If you take double-digit assists and add to it what I think he's going to do scoring-wise and shooting-wise here in this game, I thought that number was so light. I was looking more like 37.5, 38.5. It came 33.5. So that's going to be my official best bet for this show. Trae Young, points and assists. And generally, I don't go to player props, but I just like this one a lot. I'm going to save the other player prop that I like for you. Maybe you'll tell the guys you like that one. But Trae Young, over 33.5 points and assists.
Yeah, I like that as well. I hadn't bet it, but I do like that. I need Trae Young to go bunkers in this one tonight, guys. Give me the Hawks plus the 3, and also sprinkled on the money line as well, guys. So what I'd like to say is, so some people, I want to say this, guys, because some people literally just go straight to being greedy, and just take the money line. I always say, if this is what I do when I'm getting points, I always take the points. It could be 3, it could be 2, it could be 1.5, because I've been on sides that I'm talking about +1, and I'd rather take the money line, and then they end up losing by 1. You could just get a tie. So my thing is, if they're giving me points, I'm always going to take them. I'll put 0.75 units on the points, and then if I'll sprinkle on the money line like the other quarter unit of bet, guys. So that's just my suggestion. That's what I do. Give me Hawks plus a 3 and sprinkle on the money line. I also do think the Hawks get it done in the first quarter and first half. I just hadn't betted yet, guys. Also, the Pelicans plus the 5. I mean, I took +6, but I like the +5 because I feel like they win this game outright. So 0.75 on the points, Pelicans, then the other quarter unit on the money line as well. I do think they win this game outright. And I also think the Pelicans will be playing from ahead as well. I think they'll have a lead. Kings will have to catch up with them. I also think the Pelicans come out here first quarter, first half, and get it done. I think the Hawks and the Kings game go the exact same type of way. Should be a trifecta spot for the Dogs on the money line. And that one, I'm liking it. I'm loving it. We like Trae Young props in this one, and we like Brandon Ingram props as well. I do like the Ingram a little bit more, but Trae Young has to go off tonight if the Heat have a chance as well. I mean, if the Hawks want to have a chance in this one, guys. So let's get some cash, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit the like button if you really do like the show, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Couldn't talk you off joining as a member. It's only $4. You see what I'm saying? I'm finna post some exclusive plays over there in the chat right now, so go check out the community chat. It's Us Against the Bookies, guys. We're always trying to get some cash. We will win today. I hope everybody has a great day. We're out, man. Let's get this cash.